And, I said, 1 in 100 children experience autism. Where are they? Where are they? That's a high number. We should be seeing more people out in the community. And he said, I'll tell you where they are. They're in groups. And so, and that is typically the way it is. And so an individual is an individual. And people with disabilities shouldn't have to do the same thing as the next guy. And, so really, it's a human condition. We're all social beings. That opportunity of acceptance in the community and inclusion should be happening more. I believe that it's really the last big civil rights movement, and it's been in the works, but it hasn't happened. We don't see, we don't see a lot of those rights being taken seriously, and a lot of things are swept under the rug. So I think that, and hope that before I die, that there is a time where people who experience any kind of disability are just accepted in the community. I think, Luann, you had said I'd never been exposed to disability. I personally was the only child I knew that had a brother with a disability. Why is that? Why, it hasn't been that long. So to see that social barrier removed and people just accepted in the community for who they are. We see the women's rights movement and the African American movement and how those movements have really changed society. I really want to see the disabilities movement change society. Isn't the end of it? I just need my slideshows stuck. Sorry, guys.
So while you're doing that, one of the things that comes up with a lot of parents that they talk to me about is worrying about their children being victimized.
Yeah,
that's like,
and it's a risk. It certainly is a risk, and I think that that's one of the primary reasons, that we don't see individuals. The individuals who experience disabilities are vulnerable, and they could be victimized. In fact, there has been times where my brother hasn't necessarily been in the safest situation. He's been hit by a car twice, but he came out fine and unscathed. He's been approached by strangers, and I think there's a risk, but really I think identifying, one of the things that I think may help someone feel better about that, the risk being less, is just going to the same place often, so basically, if your child really loves sports, going to, hockey. My mother won hockey tickets for the Aces several, probably 3 or 4, I don't know, 5 years back or so. And and so my brother they had the same seats all the time, and we'd switch out, and I'd take him, and my mother would take him, and the house staff may take him, and so we sat in the same seats every time, and the funniest thing about it was that people approached me, and my brother is very, get up, I gotta go smoke, gotta do this, whatever. And so just, let him do his thing and he's happy. And I think, and people would actually come up to me and say, you really work well with that gentleman, And so the funny thing about it is that, the people around were sometimes just observing, my brother and not really watching the Aces game. And so it was kind of comical. And I was like, well, thanks. And I'm like, he's my brother, like, had lots of training, a lot of years. But I think there's a risk. And you really got to identify the risk versus the benefit. And, and I think, again, like activities that are where people see this, my brother loves to go to bingo. And that really is, he goes to bingo every Tuesday. He often sees the same people. It's a very diverse culture. There's all cultures, there's other people who experience disabilities. He's known there, and he is comfortable there and he's safe there.
Yeah,
So
it's hard not to want to protect them, but you do have to, as they get older, to just find a place that's safe and just let them experience some of those, not set them up to be victimized, but let them have an opportunity to deal with something that you would maybe protect them from, to see, but with a safety net there, and build some of those experiences for them. I think is also an important thing, to just let them experience it.
Absolutely. And there's risk. I mean, if you think about it, love is a risk. We take risks in loving somebody. It's a huge risk, because almost always will get hurt in a loving relationship. And there really are people, I think the majority of the people out there are willing to be supportive versus being, assailants or somebody that's going to victimize somebody. My brother walks from his house to the store, which is probably like 2 miles. But he has his own home, and he lives with a care provider, and he one day just said, I'm walking to the store. And his care provider was like, well, okay. So he started walking, and without Tommy knowing it, the care provider kind of drove and watched and made sure that he was able to cross the street, and he made it fine. He went in, he bought a cigar, and then he came out and he walked back. And so, a big risk. There's been times where he's not appropriately dressed for the weather, or doesn't have on all the equipment. There's risks, but it's worth the risks. It really is. And the chances, I think, of an individual with a disability getting victimized are probably pretty low compared to the benefits of getting out into the community. I can't say it wouldn't happen, but and I think ultimately that's a parental instinct as well, to protect your child and know their vulnerability, but certainly, like Luann said, there's a time where you just gotta let them experience life. So again, I think when our children, we know our children best as parents, and determine what your child really loves. It could be the examples that I've put up there, it could be something completely different. I almost put bingo up there, but realized that that children don't generally go to bingo parlors, so we all only get one childhood, so allow your child to experience it. I think that including Samuel, when the mother is talking. There's a great documentary that I love and talk about all the time and kind of get something new from it every time I watch it. But the mother is talking and she's saying, you know, I realize that I really can't do it all. I can't do occupational therapy and physical therapy and do all of the things that are required for my child to be successful. I just want to be a mom. So you really have to hand the reins over to the right people so you can just be a mom and let your child be a child, because before you know it, they're grown up and we all only get one childhood. So again, focus on your child's strengths. You'll come across many who want to focus on their deficits. And strength-based community is really what we want to see. We want to see people identify the strengths. We have a youth advocates community group that it's in Anchorage. We tried it in the Valley in Anchorage last year, and it was just hard to get people together in the Valley here. But youth advocates community is based on youth 16 to 24 who have disabilities and those who don't, and they get together for social activity once a month, and they do a volunteer